as to the potential underlying undercurrent for all this. I've heard talk, including in Congress, that Secretary Dizon and his team have connections with DPWH contractors, and that certain members of Secretary Dizon's teams are, in fact, contractors. I am not the authority on this subject, but I think that it would be good to give Secretary Dizon the opportunity to explain. Of course, everyone knows people. So to say that Secretary Dizon knows DPWH contractors is not to say that there's anything inappropriate happening. Now, if he or members of his team have some proven interest in companies with DPWH contracts, and what I heard is that it's not him who is a contractor, it's a member or members of his team who are contractors. And how exactly, I'm not the authority. But I have been told that this is actually known by many in Congress now. Then the question is, if it's true that new appointees in DPWH have interests in companies that do business with DPWH, are we sure that there will be no conflict of interest in the awarding of contracts under the new leadership at DPWH? And why then has this not been previously disclosed? Secretary Dizon is very accessible to the media, and I hope then that we can ask him to disclose all of his and his team's connections to DPWH contractors, and if he thinks there are still kickbacks in DPWH, and if he has ever discussed or been offered kickbacks, and if he could share this so that we can all work together to stop the practice of giving kickbacks. Again, you can't avoid knowing people, but if these people have contracts with DPWH, and in fact will win contracts in the months and years to come in DPWH, and that there is a reported history of kickbacks being given in DPWH, then I think it deserves more public scrutiny, especially because there are plans to decrease the projects being bid in the district engineering offices and move procurement to the regional or even central office. Could it be that these reforms in DPWH will not actually reduce corruption, but will transfer the benefits of it to another level or another group of parties or contractors? And again, I don't want to say this too authoritatively, but someone actually just told me before I arrived here now that not only did one person tell me that they heard that members of the team are actually contractors, that other members of the team have already been meeting with contractors outside of DPWH at may hinihingi na daw. So maybe Secretary Dizon can also check with all of his appointees who are the contractors, if any, that they have met since their appointment and what they discussed in those meetings. It's actually quite tragic because I know that so many people have so much hope for Secretary Dizon's leadership in the DPWH, as do I. And I hope then that he can be transparent on, even if it's not from him, but any attempted offers, any opportunities that he has had to talk with contractors or for his team to, any offers for kickbacks that have been made. So again, this is all in the context of there being a history of this also happening in DPWH. And again, multiple sources telling me and saying that this is known already by many. And I will say one more thing related to my previous advocacy to lower prices in DPWH. If Secretary Dizon will lower prices by 25%, I don't even need to ask if he has any interest in DPWH contracts, because anyone who will lower prices by 25% is showing that he is against kickbacks. So I hope that Secretary Dizon will be a hero and lower prices by 25% and show that he is against kickbacks in DPWH.
So just to clarify, sir, you're accusing Secretary Dizon na may mga bago siyang inad na new projects, ni-replace yung new projects from Bunoan, and Dizon has connections po sa mga contractors. Kailangan niya i-disclose yung connections na yon. Sinasabi niyo po na yung members ng team ni Dizon ay mga contractors. Yet, all of these are hearsay. Wala po kayong ebidensyang maipresenta sa amin?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't want to say that I'm accusing, but that I am asking him to disclose and be transparent on whatever connections he or members of his team might have. Let me first go with what are the facts. The facts are that, first, in the Senate budget hearings, it has already been disclosed that there are insertions into the budget with the involvement of contractors giving consideration. And in my own personal experience, I have been approached by DPWH officials with lists from contractors saying they will propose it into the budget, and that came into the budget of DPWH. And that it has been reported that this is widespread. Kung meron sa distrito ko, baka mas marami pa sa ibang mga distrito. So this is the context before Secretary Dizon came into the picture. And I have great respect for the real improvements that have been done in DPWH since Secretary Dizon came into the picture. And so I am relaying what I have heard from multiple sources, that Secretary Dizon or members of his team have connections with DPWH contractors. I was told by one source, some in his team are contractors. And yes, this is just what I was told. And I was told by another person that others on his team, even those who are not contractors, have been talking to contractors at may hinihingi. And maybe after I make this statement, some people can actually come out and say, yes, may hiningi ang mga opisyales ng DPWH sa amin. I say this, of course, sensitively acknowledging that we have to work with the DPWH on the budget and on the projects in our district being implemented well. And I hope that this does not get taken personally. And I am not saying this in a political context. I'm saying this from a intent for there to be reform based on the proposals that I have made for DPWH. But I would summarize everything that I'm saying by saying that I am asking Secretary Dizon, in the interest of transparency, to disclose all of his and his team members' connections, discussions, and interests in contractors and companies that do business with DPWH.